profile for the June 4th Tulsa Regional in Oklahoma. I played Blue Eyes at this regional. Obviously, it's Blue Eyes, so you're prone to bricking, but when it pops off, it pops off. So let's get to showing you guys. So first off, start with the main deck. Monsters. Obviously, you want 3 Blue Eyes, White Dragons, because that's where most of your plays are going to be coming from. So, sorry. Next, an alternative. Some people run 2. I prefer a 1-to-3 ratio because if you don't got a Blue Eyes along with your alternative, it's just a brick in hand. Next, we got Abyss, again at 1, because if it's in your hand, it's just dead in hand. So, idea is to special summon it from your deck with either White Stone of the Ancients, which I run 2 of, or even possibly a... where's it at? Just a Maiden as well. Or, sorry, not a Maiden. A Sage, which I run 3 of. But the main focus is wanting to summon it with an Ancient because of a certain combo that I will explain later. But next we got a Jet Dragon. Either good in the deck, grave, or hand, because no matter what, it's pretty easy to special and search out due to its effect. Next, we got Chaos Dragon Levineer as both a extender and a bridge for another card that will be coming up. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, similar scenario to Levineer. Then I choose to play 3 Dictators of Deep, just because along with Sage, he is one of the core pieces of your deck, because he can act as a starter, he can act as an extender, he fills your grave with Blue Eyes, and on top of that, he specials them out. Like you saw earlier, the Accidental Maiden, situational, but still can come in pretty clutch. Then we've got, where do you want me to put this?
I don't know, normally people just do it all in like one area. They just put them all on top of each other.
Alright, and then after that we've got just a White Stone of Legend. Fits into the combo along with the Ancient. And then for a couple of hand traps, just to fill out the deck, playing 2 Ash Blossoms. And that's going to be it for the monsters. So I'm going to clear this up real quick. Next, we'll move on to spells. I play 3 Dark Ruler No More. Obviously, as a budget option to Forbidden Droplet, but if you can get 3 Forbidden Droplets, definitely a better option. We've got 3 trade-ins to help with consistency. To be able to, again, pitch your Blue Eyes and your other level 8s into the grave in case if they're dead in hand, you could possibly get something better. We got 2 Return of the Dragon Lords to both revive your level 7 and your level 8 dragons, but also on top of that, give it some protection by banishing it in case if it's destroyed. We've got 2 Awakening of Dragons, again, to pitch something that you don't need in hand right away, to then pull out some Blue Eyes cards that you do need. We've got 2 small worlds, which from something I had seen is actually pretty good spicy tech, because what you do with these is they help you with the bridges that I talked about with Leveneer and Darkness Metal Dragon, because you can use them to search out your Dictator of D in case if you don't have it in hand, or say you can also do that to search that into your Blue Eyes White Dragons or any of your other light dragons, and then into your Sage with Eyes of Blue to, you know, get your combo pieces that you need. Then, along with that, run 2 Dragon Shrines. Help get more fodder into the graveyard, but also you can send your Ancients or your Stones in case if you need to play in order to get something special out or added to hand. And then I got 2 Ultimate Fusions. Like these cards, because unlike a normal Polymerization, it's a quick play. It can pop up to however many Blue Eyes White Dragons you use that were on your field on your opponent's cards. And on top of that, I mean, it's just a good overall card with being able to use it in the battle phase, use it straight from your hand, stuff like that. Then as a target for Abyss Dragon, I run 1 Polymerization. Help with both thinning and just to be able to fuse from the hand if need be. Monster Reborn works similar to Return of the Dragon Lords, just to be able to revive something out of the graveyard in case if a play doesn't go your way or if you just want to extend. But that's going to be it for spells. And then just for traps, I personally run 3 Ultimate Creature of Destruction. I see a lot of people just run 1. That's because a lot of people have been running the new trap support that Blue Eyes has, the True Light. I unfortunately only got 1 of those, so because I don't see it too often, I opted to go ahead and forego that part along with their other spell and continuous spell support to go ahead and just run 3 Ultimate Creatures of Destruction. So,
how big is the main deck?
the main deck for me is actually 41 cards, which not too bad. People tend to also run it around 42. I've seen 43 as well, but I've opted for just 41 because some of the key components that those people run I don't have. Right. Moving on to the extra deck, we got one of the big boss monsters for the deck, Blue Eyes Ultimate Alternative Dragon. Not only does it have some built-in protection, if you use an alternative Blue Eyes Dragon, you get to pop 3 instead of the normal pop 1. Only downside is that if you activate that part of the effect, you can't use it to attack for the turn, but that's okay because it can pop any 3 cards that you want on your opponent's side of the field. Next, we got Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. A lot of builds I've been seeing this has been the main focus boss monster, especially in the control Blue Eyes decks, because if you use something like Skill Drain or the True Light like I talked about, you can use that to keep putting materials, your Blue Eyes and stuff like that, your spells, traps, and whatnot with the True Light onto your field without having to worry about the downside of it being destroyed and wiping out at least this monster. But also on top of that, it can, whenever it attacks in the battle phase, it can pull a trap card, a Blue Eyes trap card, out of your graveyard it is any trap card from your graveyard and set it back onto the field. So even if you got, like, say, like I said, your True Light destroyed, so long as this thing attacks in the battle phase, you can put it right back on the field, flip it on your opponent's turn, and start working again. And then, like I said, with a Skill Drain that people have been running, since it's unaffected by trap cards, you got your entire opponent's board shut down because their monsters can't use their effects, but Tyrant can go ahead and just do whatever he wants. And then this is all on top of the fact that he can attack each opponent's monster once. So he can easily clear a board so long as, you know, nothing is above his 3,400. Next, we got Twin Burst Dragon. It also has some protection, can't be destroyed by battle, but the main reason I like this card is that on top of that not being able to be destroyed by battle, if it attacks an opponent's monster and doesn't destroy it, it gets to banish it at the end of the damage step. So what I like to do is that I'll sacrifice some life points, go into one of their big beaters, boss monsters, something that has some pretty good protection, and crash it into it. This stays alive, but it ends up banishing that monster and helps get rid of problems. Next, we got one of the first negates, or one of the negates for the deck is Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. You can synchro into this to be able to have a graveyard negate. So anything that your opponent activates in the graveyard, you can activate its effect, negate that once per turn. On top of that, it has a second effect to where it can send itself to the graveyard to special summon another dragon synchro from your deck. Only problem is that it's destroyed at the end phase. But what I like to do, and a lot of people like to do because it combos so well with it, is to then target Azura Eyes. Because with Azura Eyes, when you special summon that out, its effect activates, and until the end of the next turn, it is, I believe it is unaffected? No, can't be destroyed by card effects. So because of that, it can't be destroyed by Spirit Dragon, and it gets to stay on the field. And this allows you to say you send your Spirit Eyes to bring out Azura on your opponent's end phase. Azura Eye stays on the field, rolls over to your turn, you get into your standby phase, and then you get to special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon out of your graveyard. Next card I got is Formula Synchron. This is solely just a target for a card that I'll be showing here pretty soon. It helps to go into Baron de Flor. This is the second negate that you have for the deck. It's your Omni Negate. Everyone knows Baron. Everyone knows why it's good. And everyone knows why it's expensive. Next, we got Dingirsu. All this is here for is it's just an easy rank 8 to be able to XYZ into, to then be able to go into Zeus, just in case if you need a board nuke. Everyone knows what Zeus does, but just in case, you go into it from Dingirsu, you can then, after you attack with it, that is. And then, if you need to, you can remove 2 materials, and then you get to nuke the entire board. Next, we got Mech Knight Crusadia. He's in the deck because he's just a good check against just any special summon monster from the extra deck for other people's boss monsters and stuff like that. Gains attack based on their attack, and on top of that, if he ever leaves the field, he gets to, I believe, spin? Yeah, you can shuffle a card back into the owner's deck. Next, we got IP Masquerena. She is mostly used for, she's very situational, but you can go into her, and then if you have an extra material, to then be able to go into Nightmare Unicorn on your opponent's turn. That's her main reason why she's in the deck. And then Nightmare Unicorn is just another spin to be able to send something back. Next, we got Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Again, you get to summon it. So it gets rid of an opponent's monster, and then if you even tribute it for its effect, you get its second effect, where if it's tributed while it's in the extra monster zone, you get to special summon I believe it's a dragon? Yeah, you get to special summon a dragon from your deck. Changes its attack and defense to 0, though, so what I like to target with its effect for that part of the effect is an ancient, because you want it to get off the field anyway, that way you can special summon a Blue Eyes. Striker Dragon. He's solely in there as a target to be able to special summon out Darkness Metal Dragon, so then that way you're not having to banish one of your key components for your Blue Eyes and stuff like that. Because, I mean, Striker and a Blue Eyes obviously isn't going to do anything, but because you can banish him to be able to summon Darkness Metal Dragon, that's what he's in there for. And then finally, we got Halqifibrax. Halqifibrax, he is a key component for your first turn plays. What the idea is that you want to have Sage and Dictator of D out on the field. Normal summon Sage, get White Stone of Legend. Special summon Dictator by activating the effect, sending a Blue Eyes to grave to then special summon him from hand. Activate Dictator's effect, pitch that Legend, special summon your Blue Eyes, activate that Legend from the graveyard to then be able to search a Blue Eyes, add to your hand. Then you'll link into Halqifibrax with the Dictator and the Sage. Halqifibrax will special summon a Ancient. Then you can synchro that Ancient with your Blue Eyes that you just special summoned. Excuse me, sorry. To get Spirit Dragon for your first negate. Then you end phase. You get to special summon another Blue Eyes because you sent the Ancient to the graveyard from the synchro. Then after that, your opponent's turn rolls around, goes into their main phase. What you want to try to do is activate Halqifibrax's main phase not on not on a chain during their main phase. You want to do it after they summon something, because then after you do that, that's when you target the Formula Synchron. Because then, if you don't chain, you get the draw from Formula. If you do chain, you don't get the draw, but you still can use Formula Synchron's effect to synchro summon with the Blue Eyes that you special summoned during your end phase to then get Baron, and that's ends up being your second negate, with it being the Omni negate. So that's it for the extra deck. And finally, what I chose to run in my side deck for this event is because there's not much room for hand traps. That's another downside of Blue Eyes, obviously, so you got to make smart decisions on what you want. So what I had in my side deck, depending on the scenario, is I had 3 Ghost Ogres. Opponents activates a monster effect on their side of the field, you get to pop the card. Effect still goes through, but you get rid of something that could possibly have led to a bigger play. Next, 3 Effect Veilers. Target an opponent's card on their main phase, a monster card on their main phase, can't activate their effects while they're face up on the field. Another cool thing about Effect Veiler is Sage can actually search it out, because it matches the requirements that Sage has whenever you normal summon it. So in case if you need a negate or something like that, you have that option for you too. Run 2 Nibiru. Again, just, situational in case if you're running into combo heavy decks. Got 3 Artifact Lancias. In case if you run into something that's very banishment heavy, like Sword Soul, stuff like that. Next, run 1 Dragon Spirit of White. This can be a core component into your deck. I chose to run it in the side instead because there's just not a lot of back row shenanigans going on unless you're going against an Eldritch or something like that. So that's when I chose to side it in. Same thing can be said for the next 3 cards. Just a Cosmic Cyclone, pay 1,000, banish a spell or trap card on your opponent's side of the field. Harpy's Feather Duster, wipe out their entire back row, and then good old MST.
Alright, so what did you face? Like, what were the rounds?
I got the list right here. Alright, so round 1 was against the Sword Soul Tenyi. Obviously, it's one of the better decks, and do that. Him against me, I mean, I can go against the Sword Soul Tenyi, but it's pretty difficult, especially when you're playing Blue Eyes. Prone to bricking, so that's exactly what happened to me. He ended up 2-0ing me. Second one, faced against an Eldritch. First game wasn't going my way really, so he ended up just beating me down with his Eldritch and whatnot. Second game, I was doing pretty good on the back row removal, but again, bricking, so I didn't get to do too much. Ended up losing again 2-0. Third round was against Brenda Despia. I don't remember too much that went on in that one, but as you can probably guess, a lot of fusing went on, and he just beat me down again 2-0. Fourth round though, this was against a Salad player. First round, he ended up overwhelming me. He ended up overwhelming me, so I couldn't do much on that one. But second game, we actually played into time, and if it wasn't for the fact that we ran out of time, I could have very possibly won that game and possibly even drawed the duel. But because of that, he ended up 2-0ing me. Fifth round was actually my first win of the night. It was against a Punk Virtual World. See, when I play Blue Eyes, I know I'm going to brick. When I play other decks, I don't know about how prone they are to bricking. When I played this guy, he almost couldn't do anything in game 1, so I just swept him. Game 2, he got to pop off at least a little bit. Had a decent, nice looking board. I'm not too familiar with Punk Virtual World though, so I don't know how good it actually was. But I ended up clearing his board, and because of that, he just ended up scooping. My sixth round, went against a live twin. First game, he just ended up summoning out all their rank 4s, whatever one of those are. He ended 3 out on the field, so he ended up beating me over with that. Game 2, though, I was on the ropes, but then I started making a comeback, but it wasn't until after he activated 2 of his continuous spells, and he kept burning me for 400. I thought I had plenty of life points to be able to get rid of that and then be able to win the duel, but sadly I actually ended up burning myself for a good chunk of my life points, and he ended up finishing me off, so I ended up losing that one. Round 7 was against another Salad player, but this one was actually a weaker version because he didn't have all the components for it. So I ended up just sweeping him for both games. He did a little bit of damage to me on game 1, but he didn't have his key parts, like he didn't have his access code and stuff like that. So it was an easy game. Round 8, I honestly have no clue what this guy plays, because to me it just looked like the structure pendulum deck. So I don't know what he was trying to do. Game 1, he set 2, put out scales, popped his odd, added, and then played Swords of Revealing Light. In response, my turn came around, unicorned the swords, and ended up OTKing him that turn. Game 2, he set 3 past. Took a little longer to beat him on that one, but again, just he didn't have any response and he didn't do anything. And then finally for my round 9, this was against a Sun Avalon Therian Adventure deck. And this was actually the round where I was able to consistently get my Spirit and my Baron out. But because this guy was running Forbidden Droplet, I couldn't do anything. He wouldn't pitch a monster, I couldn't activate anything in response, so I was like, well, okay. So game 1, he just beat me over. Game 2, very similar scenario, and in fact almost exactly the same. He just Forbidden Droplet me, except he did it a little early. He only was able to do it on my Spirit. He didn't get to do it on my Baron. But either way, it didn't matter. He still beat me over. But that's how my night went. Even though I went 3-6, I still had a fun time. Will say this deck is still fun to play, even if it's prone to easily losing. Highly recommend.
Any last comments or anything?
I will say, my build, even though I do enjoy it, I will say it's obviously not the best. What I would recommend is, instead of running 3 creatures of destruction, try to only run 1, and then if you can, try to fit in your True Lights, preferably 3, that way you can see it. And then you can also run a Visions with Eyes of Blue, which is their continuous spell, I'm not as much of a fan of that one because it's very situational, but what it lets you do is you can return a monster from your side of the field to your hand, and depending on what you return, you can either special summon any other monster from your hand, or you can special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon. I already said if you can get it, Forbidden Droplets instead of Dark Ruler, and I'm kind of thinking of getting rid of the trade-ins as well, opting for a third Small World, because while I did see it a little bit, I didn't see it as much as I would like to, and then maybe even a third Ultimate Fusion, but that's probably something that is more to personal taste. And then obviously you can swap out or just straight up add more hand traps in case if the 2 hand traps in there is not enough for you, which I don't blame you. I honestly don't think it's enough either, but with how much room this deck has, with how much room the Blue Eyes and all the other stuff take up, it's a little hard to add more hand traps into it.